Hey, I'm Jules. I'm a Canadian who has worked in the cannabis industry for about 5 years, and I am here in the Byron Bay hinterland today in Australia, and I'm here to show you how to make your own cannabutter using the Magical Butter Machine. The Magical Butter Machine is a really convenient, easy and simple way to make your own DIY products at home. And so today we're going to show you how to make your own cannabis butter. So these are the equipment and ingredients that you'll need. The first is obviously you'll need your Magical Butter Machine and the filter bag that should come with it. You'll need your silicone heat-resistant glove or some sort of oven mitt to protect your hands. You'll need a spatula of some sort, a bowl or some sort of container to filter your product into. You'll need the decarboxylation box and the temperature probe. If you do not have this, that's totally fine. You can use just a baking tray and some foil. We use this one just because it's a really great way to consistently and accurately decarb your weed without degrading it too much. Then the other ingredients that you'll need is just a measuring cup, a teaspoon, you'll need your dry flour, and then you'll need about 2 cups of unsalted butter. You can also use clarified butter. However, for this video today, we're just gonna do regular unsalted butter, and we will melt it down for convenience purposes. And then the last ingredient you'll need is the liquid sunflower lecithin. You can use other forms of lecithin. This one is really great to use just because as a liquid lecithin, it has a higher fat content. So it'll bind a little bit better with the cannabinoids, as opposed to soy too. It's cold pressed and less processed, so it's a really great product to use with these infusions. So let's get started. All right, so our next step in making cannabutter is to decarboxylate our flour. The reason why we want to decarboxylate is because this activates the compounds in the cannabis that you will want to extract, like CBD or THC. So the first step you want to do is to preheat the oven. You want to take that up to about 120 degrees, and we're going to bake that at 30 minutes. If you are doing other strains such as high CBD strains and you want to activate the CBD content in there, it's best to raise the temperature up to about 135 degrees and decarboxylate for about 60 minutes. So the first step, once you've preheated the oven, would be to grab your decarb box. You'll want to put your dry and cured flour in there, and you don't want to grind it up. This is because the Magical Butter Machine will grind it up in the machine for you. So you'll just put the whole flour in there. And we are using 7 grams per cup of oil, so it's a total of 14 grams for 2 cups of butter. You'll put the lid on, you will seal it on all sides, and then you want to stick the temperature probe in. Now note, you don't want to have it touching the bottom because this can show you a inconsistent reading of the temperature. You'll just want to pull it halfway up so it's just in the middle there. Once it's ready to go, you can come and stick it in the oven. And this is magnetic, so you can just stick it on the outside here. So you'll turn it on, set it to 120. Once that reaches 120 on the inside of the box, then you can start your 30-minute timer. Now note that it is possible and normal for your oven to fluctuate 10 degrees higher or lower. That's completely fine unless it doesn't go outside of that threshold for too long. So now that that's going, we'll wait about half an hour, wait for it to finish decarboxylating, and then we'll move on with our infusion process. So now that we've started decarboxylating our flour, we can move to melting our butter down for the infusion. So there's a few different ways that you can melt the butter down. Easy way is just to throw it in the microwave just until it's melted enough so you can pour it, or you can do a stovetop. And we are going to do the stovetop option with a double boiler today. If you don't have a double boiler, that's completely fine. You can use just a regular saucepan, but you do just want to use caution and melt down at a very low heat to avoid any burning of the butter. So now what I'm gonna do is just cut our butter, and then we can throw it in the double boiler to melt it down. Oh my goodness. Are we gonna put this part in? Yep. Jesus Christ. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to melt down our butter once it's all cut up. So we'll just want to put it onto a medium to low heat. Since it's the double boiler, we don't need to worry about burning quite as much, so you can move up with the temperature a little bit. And you'll just stick your chunks of butter in here. All right, now that you've cut it all up and put it in the double boiler, you'll just want to take the bottom of the double boiler and fill it up about halfway full. And your butter is ready to melt. Okay, so now that we have our flour decarboxylated and cooled to room temperature, and our butter is completely melted down, we are ready to start the infusion process with the magic butter machine. So all you need to do is grab your butter machine. You can take the head off here, and first you'll want to add your non-ground decarboxylated flour. You'll want to pour in, this is about 2 cups as well, so you can just pour this all in. And then the last ingredient that you'll want to add is our liquid sunflower lecithin here. We are using the liquid sunflower lecithin as opposed to a dry or soy lecithin, just because it has a higher fat content as a liquid lecithin. And as opposed to soy lecithin, it is cold pressed and less processed, so it's just a better quality product all around. So what we'll do is we'll just put our 2 teaspoons in here. It's usually 1 teaspoon per cup. And this will help with the binding of cannabinoids to the butter. All right, now that we've added all of our ingredients, which includes our flour, our melted butter, and our liquid sunflower lecithin, we are ready to start the infusion. So what you just need to do is put the head back on here, make sure it's secure, and we'll just plug in the machine here. Now you can set the temperature to 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 71 degrees Celsius, and then you're going to click the 2-hour butter option. Once that process has started, then you'll just wait the 2 hours, and once that's done, the machine should beep, and then you can start your filtering process. Okay, so it's been 2 hours and our butter infusion is ready to filter. So what we're just going to do here is take the butter machine, unplug it, take the head off, and you'll just want to take your filter bag here and put it over something. I'm using a bit of a smaller measuring cup today, so Erin's just going to come in and help me hold it so I can filter it. And you'll just take your spatula. If you're doing it by yourself, a really good idea is to use the silicone mitt here, just to protect yourself if you're pouring a hot liquid through the filter bag. So yeah, it's ready to go. You can just pour it right in here, and you'll just use the spatula to get all the rest of the flour that's in there. All right, so now we'll just leave that to filter, and what you really want to make sure that you do is you squeeze the filter bag just to make sure that it extracts all of the leftover butter in the flour. And once that's done, we'll be ready to pour it into our molds. Okay, so now that we've filtered our infusion here, it's ready to go. We can put it into our molds. So we are using the magical butter mold today. You don't have to use this. You can use a jar or anything that you want to store your butter into. This one's great just because it holds 2 cups of butter for the most part. So you can just pour it in there. Awesome, so now all you do, throw on the lid, and it's ready for refrigeration. Letting the butter set will usually take a few hours. I leave it overnight just to make sure it's all done, but just depending on how cold your fridge is, just check on it every once in a while and it shouldn't take too long. And after that, you are ready for your infused butter. So just a little warning, moving on with your infused cannabis edibles. Everyone, depending on how you make it, is going to come out with a kind of different strength or dosing of their product. So if you're not familiar, not very comfortable with eating edibles here, you can just always kind of start low, go slow, and figure out what dose works for you. You don't want to take too much and have a bad time. So my advice would just be to start really small, move up a little bit as time goes on, but I would wait, a few hours before you end up taking any more, or just day by day, up your dose a little bit until you find what's right for you. And other than that, happy medicating. Sweet, are we done?
Nice one.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, now just the gummies.
Happy medicating, I like that.